Boom, we're live.
Hi, world.
What's up, world? So welcome to the 25th.
I think it's the 26th.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Whatever. One of the 20 episodes of Coffee with Joan and Brent.
Yeah.
And we are super excited. I don't know what the hell just happened to our feed. I am super excited to be presenting.
Former Disney on Ice.
How do we want to say this?
I don't know.
Former Disney on Ice, Mel Gibson lookalike. Work.
And
Tati.
Tati.
There we go.
Tati.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
And we dressed up for the occasion.
Yeah.
Too.
See, look at that. You like that?
We
Like that
busted
world?
out. Hold on, it's backwards.
These are representing. Very nice.
We were
Yeah,
trying.
it's the only what is left that I can
Fit.
fit as right now.
So, all right. So, what the hell's going on with you guys? You just moved?
Well, we moved to a different place. We moved to Canada in August 2019, and we had like a rental for the beginning, and then that was due in April. So we've been planning to move in April, and and we just signed a new lease for the next year.
Sweet. So, you're in Toronto?
Near.
Greater Toronto, yeah. Like, yeah. You guys are in McKinney, which is McKinney.
I know Hamilton
It's
and
greater.
then Toronto. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Half an hour.
We're like half an hour north of downtown.
Oh, north. How about
Yeah.
that? Andy and Robin were saying that you guys were looking for a place at one point. So I was like, why don't they just move to Buffalo and then just drive across? It's probably cheaper.
Ideas.
I wouldn't doubt that it's cheaper because real estate here is like cuckoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
We might ask you some tips.
Yeah.
Oh, tips.
No. Picking up right where we left off.
I
Good.
love it.
So what are you guys doing? You're coaching now?
Up until 5 weeks ago, yes.
Yeah.
Right. Are you
Yes.
doing Zoom coaching too? Like online?
I do the team coaching, but not with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're doing like online lessons?
Oh, yeah. You're talking about like.
Oh, no. Are you doing online Zoom lessons? Like,
Zoom coaching, no.
Right now, no, because we just kind of started. Most of our kids are
Babies.
Babies?
too young that, unless but it's in Russia and trains them from out of the womb.
yeah.
It's kind of not done that way here. So most of them aren't that age, and yeah, I don't think it'd be worth it a little bit. And
Why don't you just call other coaches' kids? Just be like,
Yeah, that'd be good.
let's go. We need some money.
well, I
So,
thought
okay.
about it, whatever. And then there's a lot of the older ones that I do is like dance partnering. So I mean,
Oh,
kind of.
poor Bonard.
Oh, what? That's the theme time. I don't even think about it.
See, you like that. You like that.
They're
See?
not all like you. You hate it.
I like touching younger girls. It's fine.
Safe sport. Oh, you don't have safe sport in Canada. How about that?
Okay, there's a quote for that. It happened in Brazil during the interview.
Okay. That had a backstory to it because after we were touring with you guys, we went into Brazil, and I was doing an interview in Rio, something like that,
Somewhere.
whatever, in Brazil. And one of the reporters was asking me, so like, what is one of your favorite parts about Disney on Ice and being able to perform? And I was like, it's really, how did I word it? It's really rewarding that I can touch children like this.
Oh, no, you did.
Basically, something like that was my response.
It's not exactly, I remember right now. I like to touch children's souls
Uh-huh.
and then watch it on TV and they cut it. I like to touch children and they cut it.
And they
Oh.
just muted and went into the next.
Oh.
So that became a joke.
Was Lisa Taylor like freaking out? No.
No, I don't
It
think so.
wasn't
I went back to
too bad.
Brazil a few years later, so I guess I was okay. I wasn't banned.
Well, we met, so backstory with us and how we know each other is we met on D30, which was Let's Celebrate at the time. I don't know what it was called after, but it was Let's Celebrate. But we actually knew who you were, Bonard, before we actually met you.
Oh, we're going here,
Well, no, it's because we did break work, which is like for people who weren't on tour.
High school
Just like you go and
You substitute on a show that's not yours.
yeah, and
Yes.
so
Look at Bonard's like, oh god.
he had to wear all his costumes, so we knew about you beforehand.
Oh, you
Yeah.
wore my old sweatiness. Good stuff.
Yeah, the front of the pants.
So yeah.
If you
So,
really
all
want
right,
to go for that,
Anyways, so that's
the
little
best
backstory how
residue
we
is wear it
met.
backwards.
So how long did you guys tour? Like not necessarily together. Bonard, did you do 20 years?
18.
No. 18?
I
What about you?
did 10 years.
And then did you guys met on D30? Is that when you met or you met before that?
So I was almost a new hire before D30. I joined in December, and D30 was opening in end of July. Like we had rehearsals, and before that I was sent to the break work in June to D20, but I literally was there for a week, and this is where we met.
Actually, randomly enough, I was on, after we left High School Musical, I was on D20 for break work, and I went there to kind of do an audition with a new partner or whatever, and it turned out well enough that I ended up skating with Nadia, and she was brought in from another show to potentially replace Nadia, and it was okay, it was medium, but I guess there were more opportunities for her on the new show. So after we met for like 10 days in Venezuela,
Like he knew that he's going to D30, and I had no clue what I am doing. So we said goodbye.
we said goodbye. Okay, I had the weirdest travel day I probably have ever had on tour when I left Venezuela. I was the one person that at the end of the 6-pack Sunday morning, I had to check out with all my luggage, bring it to the building in beautiful, clean Caracas, Venezuela. And at the end of a 3-show day, I had my own personal shuttle. I had showered at the building, grabbed my luggage, and I went straight to hit a 1 o'clock red eye from Caracas to Toronto to start my way home.
Wow.
Ugh.
It was beautiful because by the time I made my connection and when I was home by noon on Monday, most people were waking up to get to the airport in Venezuela. For
Oh,
like,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
they were just starting and I was already like home in bed. It was kind of fun, but it was an interesting start to it. So anyway, when I said goodbye to the cast and said goodbye to her that I had just met in Venezuela, I was like, well, I hope we meet again and we'll see what happens. And then by the time I had gotten home, she had already gotten an email.
I woke up next day in the morning before the flight, so I was checking my email, and there was the shortest email from Judy, like, new show, question mark? And I think my answer was even shorter, yes.
That's awesome.
So, and yeah.
You know, maybe I told you the story, but speaking of Judy, when we first
Oh.
So when we first did our thing, like I had all kinds of issues like getting signed up with Spelled. So first I was like, oh, maybe we should do like Disney. You know, I got done competing, you know, like the usual thing. What do we do? And so I was sitting at home getting fat and I was like, oh, maybe we should like go on tour or something. That'd be fun. So I reached out to Judy and, you know, I knew Kim, right? She's married now. So now
Kim Ryan?
No.
I was gonna say
Augie's old partner.
Kimberly.
Kimberly, there we go. Loudon? Was it Kimberly Loudon? Anyway, she was on High School A. Anyway, so we came to do the audition and I did all this stuff and fell on my back in front of Adam Loosely and Bia. And then I asked Judy, I was like,
trying
hey.
double axles or what?
Huh?
Were you trying double axles?
I most certainly was not. This is when they were like, why don't you act like an animal? Be a monkey. And I was like going around. I was like, this is so weird. And I slipped and fell on my back over it. And so then I reached out to Judy and I was like, hey, so do you think, do you need me to have Joan audition or send in a video? She's like, no, we know who she is. It's fine. I was like, oh, all right. So anyways, so then I was like, okay, so like I'm an ice dancer. I don't have a partner, but maybe I can get like some sort of Parasy role. And I get a contract that says,
this is for
this is on High School.
This is for High School Musical.
It was a semi-principal role for Chad. And I was like, and I had never seen High School Musical. So I like went and I Googled and the picture, I was like, maybe the makeup's really good on Feld? Is the makeup really good for this? And I reached out to Judy. I was like, oh, hey, really looking. Oh, no, that's what it was. She told me I was going to be Chad. And then when my contract came through, it didn't say that. And I was like, but you said semi-principal. She said, oh, there was a misunderstanding. It turns out Chad's actually African-American. I was like, yeah.
Obviously, no one saw the movie. Like,
Yeah, but you know what though? Don't let that stop. That hasn't stopped Feld from many things before.
No. I'll stop there.
Tay.
I mean, if you take someone like Ashley Mandapad, who in one day was like, one show was Tiana and the next show was Snow White.
Yeah.
happens.
RuPaul's Drag Race.
I stayed classy.
Oh, you say classy?
I stayed classy.
You're trying to say Tiana's not classy?
No, it is classy, but like I stayed like with them.
How
All fairy tales,
Oh,
kind
the
of
old
like,
fairy
yeah,
tales.
how long ago did you guys get off tour?
August.
half a year.
Oh, like just wow.
Yeah, we finished August 12th, and we're finished in Chile. We flew August 13th to Canada, and we moved to Toronto August 23rd.
So how's that transition been? Because obviously we've been at it for about 10 years now, and it's still an adjustment, right? So like, how's the adjustment?
Before that, how did you guys decide that you guys were like done with tour? Like, what was the big thing that
Bonard did double axel like Lee Baker.
Yeah, I couldn't land anything anymore.
I couldn't say backwards anymore. It's weird.
What is
I think at some point, like, we loved what we do. We loved the travel. We loved the performing. But it's at some point, I mean, 18 years and 10 years, and
It was okay. We wanted the family, and we've been postponing, and then it was like, all right, Bonnet. Like, we had a great time with Disney. I loved it. I went around the world almost several times, and it was just like by feel. I'm like, I want to be done when I'm still loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when it was that year we started a European tour, and we kind of haven't been clear yet. So let's see how it goes. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm ready to settle down and for good.
I was actually very happy that our last tour was an international tour, so we just got to be like,
Save your money.
like tourist junkies, kind of.
Yeah.
Just play around people. Yeah.
Also, they were paying for
Really
your
nice.
hotel room, right? They're sponsored cities usually.
Yeah, typically, but I mean,
Yeah, you can save more money.
the tour that we did was also, it was a busy tour because it was the split weeks of South of France, but I'd never been to the South of France, so it was, I mean, every day off was a wine drink, basically.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
What show did you guys end on? What was your last show?
D27. What's it called?
Was that Wishes?
No, I think
Dream Big. Oh my
Dream
God.
Big.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
Well, it was
Prince-
Wishes, and
Okay.
its new name lately is Dream Big.
Wait, what?
It was Dream
Yes.
Big.
Oh, okay.
Dream Big.
Dream.
Most of the shows now are like, follow your dreams, follow your heart, dream big,
Oh.
wet dream. It's weird.
So our dream was to.
You said PG 14, 15?
D40. COVID-19.
Oh, I was like, okay, PR train. So our show was named Dream Big, and we had our Dream Big to start the family, and
And boop.
Ah,
Oh,
we know what you did.
Yay! Congratulations!
You know you did. Yeah, actually, this morning was our midterm checkup. We're like halfway through.
it's like a coming down.
Dang!
Well, this is actually, I guess, our Facebook Live announcement. We've only told like, friends and family and everything, and this is, okay, I guess it's on now.
And we know who he is.
Oh, yeah, we're having a little Bonard.
It's gonna be.
Oh, that's awesome, guys! We're so happy
Congratulations.
for you.
It was the reason we got off the road, and it happened. Yay, we did it.
Dang.
It was meant to happen right away.
So our mindset, like, okay, like we wanted a child, and for some reason, like I had a dream, Bonard had a dream, our parents had a
Martin
dream.
Luther King had a dream.
She thought you encouraged him. She laughs at
I
all.
dream like we always saw the girl, So I wasn't trying to set my mind for the girl, but I'm like, okay, it could be anyone. When I saw my first ultrasound, I'm like, well, it doesn't really look like it's look like a human. I don't know who is it.
Yeah.
So last week I went for ultrasound and they didn't let him in due to COVID right now. So I was just by myself. So like big hooray moment was like I get in the car, I'm like, hey, it's a boy. So but when she announced it to me, like, do you want to know? I'm like, yes. And I'm like, it's a boy. And I'm like, yes. So
That was me.
Instantly, her perspective of everything changed. She's been kind of thinking like, I can't wait to get my little girl all these.
Okay, I wanted like a pram, like back at home. Like it's not like
a water though. It should be fine.
I'll take the through there. Okay.
So we've been looking like I was looking for the like pink pram, so I can go like
old school carriage,
like old school carriage, yeah, like and this stuff
like
and
rims and. Okay.
Literally, yes. I was looking at all the prams and prices. I'm like, wow, gosh, that's like how they call it, like Ferrari for the prams.
Basically.
Yeah. And then as soon as I found out the board, I'm talking like, so like marketplace, something used.
Wheelbarrow, like, what do boys play with? Are you gonna get a hammer soon? I was like, yeah, that's probably what'll happen.
Oh, they've got cute stuff for boys too.
Yeah, but it just when they get older, they're just disgusting.
Yeah.
They're just gross.
They're pretty. They're.
We have like 14 years till that, yeah.
I mean, if the child's gonna be anything like us,
oh yeah.
Are you guys available to babysit as of October?
No, because I'm not able to babysit my own. Right?
I'm surprised yours is still alive. I'm excited to see what ours will be, but
Yeah.
I saw the video on the bicycle that you didn't stop filming.
Oh, on
yeah,
TikTok
yeah.
where it crashed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would I stop filming?
Yeah. He was happy about it after.
Yeah, he was glad that it was filmed.
how old is yours now?
Exciting.
3,
I don't know.
4?
4.5.
Yeah.
He'll turn 5 in August.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that doesn't even make sense in my.
Well, that's our reality right now. So so since we moved in, we moved to Toronto in August, and it was quite busy. Like Bonard, he knew what he's doing because he had a setup with few clubs, and they're like, okay, we're expecting you. Like, and I came like an anchor, I would say. Like, been dragged behind, like.
Well,
what?
no, because she wasn't Canadian, she had to start going through the process. They wouldn't recognize any of her
Diplomas?
background and her skating. I guess they do a degree in Eastern Europe where she kind of does like a 2-year degree, like literally at university, and gets a diploma for it.
She is a lesbian gangster. So.
Basically, she's an undercover spy, basically. But anyway, like she had to do all this theory of biomechanics and preparation, Olympic training, and things like that.
So
and
nothing was accepted.
basically, Skate Canada goes, "Oh yeah, but they don't do our program." It's like,
so wait, to be able to be a coach in Skate Canada, you have to have all these requirements?
you have to do the NCCP course modules that they present through. NCCP does it for every sport in Canada, and then skating specifically has its own stream that in order to be able to coach, you have to do all of that.
Oh, interesting.
And it's a bit of a process. It used to be extremely simple, and if you got it way back in the day, which unfortunately I didn't, it would have been like a weekend course and like boom, and like level 1, 2, 3, and 4, whatever all the scale is like a weekend course. And now it's like a weekend course followed by
3 other courses,
a home study guide, and then in order to pass the whole thing, you have to submit videos of your lessons and all this kind of portfolios.
Oh, wow.
That's per each level, and like I'm doing it right now for level 2, almost finishing. But she had to do all of that for like teaching like a 5-year-old to stand up.
Dang.
It was a bit excessive, but
Seriously.
we got here in enough time, and she got it done so she can coach. So
Right.
So like moving on to the next level already. So that's good. I literally got my certification. It says March 16th. And
then shut down.
And I got the email on a March 16th, like all the ice rinks are closed immediately at midnight. I'm like,
oh,
wow.
All right.
Yeah. Well,
Timing
right
is
in time.
everything.
So when's the baby due? You said October?
September 7th. September 7th.
Ah, gotcha.
Aw.
That's awesome.
Yay!
So-
That's so exciting.
Dude, you guys are having a major change though, from tour and now you're like there and like kid.
And
It's
it's like boom, yeah.
in a year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't have like too much time to stop, I guess.
Like we didn't stop at all. As soon as we been done with the tour, we moved in here. I needed to start the courses, and I'm very thankful I got hired right away. One of the coach noticed me, and she's like, "Do you want a team coach?" I'm like, "Sure." So, and I got busy right away, and we didn't have time to see anything around. It was like home ice rink, because like you do before the school at 7 a.m. and then kids go to school and then you pick up after. So right now with this a little bit time off, we finally like, okay, let's go check it out, what is around us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, yes, we enjoy coaching and yes, we enjoy working, but like we moved in right away, and I'm from out east, so even moving to Toronto was kind of new for me. Like I had some connections, and that's how I came in. And there was a plethora of coaching here, so it was something to do rather than most places in Canada, maybe Montreal also. It takes time to build. Where I had enough connections that I moved in and I built quickly.
That's great.
Where was I going with that? I don't remember.
Pregnancy brain.
Yeah, pregnancy brain apparently. Oh, so we moved here, like when we finished tour in Chile, we flew out east to where my family lives to collect most of our things, and we spent maybe a week or 10 days with them before we moved up here. And that was in time just for her courses and all that kind of stuff for her skating. And boom, we went. So we didn't have much time to explore the city, like other than when we did it with tour and we stayed like downtown and you just kind of go there. But like I was anxious I know that Ontario is known as like lakes and things like that, other than the big Lake Ontario that it sits on. So we taken the time to like literally go to like Niagara Escarpment. Like
As of right now,
2 or 3 weeks ago, we did we didn't even notice it. We were going like in through like the canyons of Niagara Escarpment, but I mean, they're probably like 300 or 400 feet deep, maybe, whatever, and back up. But we were doing like 14-kilometer hikes all of a sudden. I was like, go, pregnant lady.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Word.
Another day we found there is a great trail that goes through all the Canada.
Yeah, I
So
didn't
it
know
just-
this either, actually. And most of it, some of it is actually, and I read this also, is canoeing runs along, and it goes like, we have the Trans-Canada. You guys have a million different interstates in the States, but in Canada we have the Trans-Canada, which is a highway that connects St. John, Newfoundland to Vancouver and then up
Wow.
to Newfoundland. It's the number one highway, and it just goes straight across the country. I found out that there is, I think they said it was 24,000 kilometers of winding, and most of it is old railroad tracks that the rail has been picked up, and it's like a hiking path, and sometimes it goes through lakes and rivers and winds all its way across Canada.
Oh, that's cool.
Are you gonna do it, or they did it?
Oh, we did it already.
Well, we found part of it
A
where
little
it
bit.
attaches just 45 minutes from here, and we did it and like almost got attacked by beavers the other day, but it was fun.
Wow.
Yeah, this is Beaver Conservatory.
It goes like through a beaver conservatory about like, which is just like, it's like the track with no rails on it that goes right through, but it's like marsh on either side, and you can just see all the beavers running or swimming around, slapping their tails and stuff.
Wow. Must say.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Slapping the beaver tail there, Brent? What did you do?
Coffee show yet.
Don't you have grizzly bears up there too?
They're still asleep. They woke up
Well,
in
we
April.
don't have grizzlies this far south.
Brown bears?
Grizzly bears are
Black bears?
No.
further north or further west.
Oh, okay.
Here we have black bears.
Oh.
I
Well,
mean, which
actually,
is
I
still,
saw the black bear like first time when I went to New Brunswick to see where is he from. So he like, I'm like, okay.
hold on. So the first time I brought her home to meet my family in New Brunswick, I was like, well, okay, is there anything you would like? Like, I come from a very rural area. I'm anxious for you to
Very
see my
rural.
parents. She goes, it's my first time to Canada. I just want to see a moose and a bear.
No,
I'm
I
like,
was
oh,
in Canada
welcome to my
before,
family.
but I haven't
Oh
been
my
in.
gosh, that's right. You
Yeah.
did competition there.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, like I'm very rural. That's possible. So by the time we had finished our visit at home, I was driving her to the airport. And on the drive to the airport, we saw one of each within like 20 minutes of each other.
Oh, that's so cool.
Dang.
And the bear was just sitting on the road.
I thought it was up ahead on the road, and I thought it was like a log. I was like, okay, I might have to get out and push something around, or we went to slow down, and I was like, wait, the log is blinking at me, and then it ran off. And I was like, oh,
Dang.
okay.
Well, there you go. That's cool.
Okay.
So, of all your, you guys obviously did way more touring than we do. What's your favorite country that you've been to? Not for performing, but just to be in.
Well, I developed the hobby. I like hiking. This is why like I'm trying, hey Bonner, find me a hiking trail here. But I found that like kind of like one of the best hiking was when I did the US tour. When you go in California through all the parks,
yeah, especially
or
the last
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's hard to find the same beauty somewhere else.
The last few tours in the States, we drove a lot. So usually on our days off, we would take our car and go as far as we could in the other direction and come back around. So we spent so many times like in California going to the Canyon National Park, Grand Canyon, Great Canyon, what's it called?
Rockets.
King Canyons, right? Just south of Yosemite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, Joan, you're from California.
I know. I didn't go to all the canyons.
So am I, and I don't know.
Walking on what was it?
Okay, so we did all the big five except Yosemite, which we saw pictures of you and videos of that. You just went a few years ago, which we
No, that was Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. We didn't do the Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's what did I say?
Yosemite.
I have pregnancy plans.
It's so fast with all of this.
The only one we haven't done is Yellowstone.
It bothers me that Bonner was lactating already. Should I put pads on?
Yeah, you gotta get
The bamboobies. The bamboobies.
The bang boobies.
So
Yeah.
many amazing things.
Between two of us, I don't feel the pregnancy at all. I need to be reminded. Like even before the quarantine started, I was on ice and
We did a sit lift last week.
yes.
I mean, not on the ice because we're not allowed to skate right now.
Yeah.
But you know, just for like little things and workout, whatever.
But I needed to remind
4.5
myself.
months pregnant, was in the air, whatever.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, you know, just brain damage. It's okay. It's fine.
fine. I'm actually listening happy that like I didn't lose my balance. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
So your favorite country overall is the United States?
for the beauty, for all the parks, I loved it.
Yeah.
I would say that I do like it, but I have like little pockets of favorites all the time. Like personally, I always loved Argentina. I always liked the culture
For
and
food, yeah.
I'm a foodie and a red wine person. It's amazing. I really enjoyed the south of France this year, although our schedule was busy, but it's so much calmer than Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so quaint. I loved it. I am a big fan of Italy too. And lately, like Thailand, we just went for a vacation last spring.
Literally in April, last year.
Literally
in April.
like 12 months right now, actually. We went for a 2-week vacation into Thailand. We almost ran into Robin and Andy. They left like 2 days before we got there.
I know, we want to do a vacation next year, so pop that kid out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, we have no problem with just like strapping it on and just hiking across the world. The baby, Brent. God.
Oh, yeah.
They can travel. They're easier to travel with.
When they're real small, they're easy.
Well, they're not
Like
that hard.
we took Jack to Spain for Charlie and Joe's wedding, and he was 20 months old then, and that was pushing it. We should have gotten him his own seat because up until they're 2, they can
be
sit.
allowed.
Yeah. So of course I'm like, he's in her lap, not sitting in mine.
How long was the flight?
Well, we went
I think it was 10
from
hours.
Dallas down to
Yeah,
Mexico
yeah.
City. That was, I don't know,
3.
3, and then probably 10 to Madrid, and then we drove the entire country perimeter basically. And yeah, Spain's awesome.
Oh, we love Spain. Yeah, we were just there at the finish of our European tour this year.
Yeah. Where'd you finish?
Did you guys
Barcelona?
We only did Barcelona, Zaragoza, and Madrid.
Madrid? We were only in Madrid for like one night.
Because we had to get down to
Funny story. We were in
edge.
Madrid, and we stayed exclusively Airbnbs the whole time we were there. And we found a place kind of in downtown, and it was like kind of a high rise, not really a high rise, but okay. we were staying on like the 5th floor, and there's no elevator. So, and we're driving around. Her sister was with us, and her sister's more fluent in Spanish than we are. Like we can get by, but her sister's more fluent. So we're looking We're looking for parking in downtown Madrid, and we see like the parking garage that says Libre, and I was like, Libre, free parking, awesome. So we parked down there, and the next morning I was like, God, this cost me like $50. Libre doesn't mean free; it means available. Gratis is yeah.
I'll tell you a story of how you guess up the car in Portugal.
Yes, that means it's a good one.
No, Bonard's embarrassed. Oh, geez.
Well, no, it was very,
Okay,
it
all
was
right,
very
all right,
confusing.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I never, ever, ever, ever thought I would be the person that would do this. And
It's okay. There's no judging.
while we had some time off in Portugal, we rented a car, went up the coast we wanted to go see the famous Navarre
The
beach
big waves,
coast,
yeah.
where at certain times of the year, it's the largest surfing waves in the world. They crashed because of an underwater canyon. It didn't have, apparently it has to do with the time of year and the storms off coast,
But it was still beautiful.
It was still beautiful, whatever. Then I went to gas the car up on the way home. And in Portuguese,
Gasolina.
there's
Gasolina. There was like literally a difference in one letter.
there's gasolina. Like I have the picture to prove it. I put diesel in a gas engine.
Oh, it fit too? I'm surprised that the little nozzle wasn't.
It didn't quite fit, but it worked enough. But I forced it a little, but it still pumped. I was like, okay, like whatever.
I don't really remember. It's
Oh
like
my God. So, I mean, did the car just seize up right there?
I literally paid, started the car, it was fine, and by the time I had pulled out, it was like stalling and puttering.
Oh no.
I literally just turned it off, went to the side, and in my broken Portuguese, which I speak none, I went in and like, I speak nothing, whatever. I was like, well, I think whatever, and found out that she spoke a little bit of English, and she was like, yes, you put diesel. I took a picture of it because in Portuguese it's like gasolina, gasolona.
Yeah, something like that.
I was like, well, I figured it's just like one
Premium ones, regular.
levels or whatever. So I just grabbed one.
So, all right. So, do you have to get the car towed in, or what'd you do?
Basically, what
We
we had
had
to do
insurance
is we
on
had
it?
insurance, and it covered anything like that up to a certain amount. And literally, basically, the company from Lisbon chartered a taxi to come pick us up
We've been
and
like 2 hours
drive
away.
us back to Lisbon. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours away,
yeah.
something like that. Back to Lisbon to our hotel. A tow truck had to come and pick up the car. I had to sign off for it, and he took it back, and they fixed it in the shop. I guess it worked out. It was fine. I had to walk in the next day to prove of my insurance that it covered it, and it was nothing.
Oh.
Wow.
But
Lucky.
I was happy and lucky,
At the
but
same time, the prices in Portugal to rent a car is at 10 euros.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
it's cheap.
Wow.
How much do you think that whole thing cost to repair?
Or something.
I don't know.
It's covered, yeah, I remember
I'm not much enough of a car geek to know that. All I know
Really?
is that I think it was like
Oh goodness.
Well, he can drive the fountain.
yeah, I can drive that fountain on point.
Was that him that drove it?
Well, Dan did it.
Dan and Scott. We were there.
And Jordan.
Oh, and Jordan.
Oh yeah, Jordan. That's
God,
right.
the best was that when that stupid thing broke and just sat on the ice and no one could get it off.
Oh, you have no idea. So after you guys left, all the years.
There was a plan A, B, C, D,
Oh, there
E,
was
F.
like, there was plan double D. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
For those of you who don't know, like on our last show that we were on, there was this giant fountain that had pyro on it, and all the princesses sat around it, and it was drivable. Had a driver, and Mickey popped out of the center.
Hey, don't give out secrets.
Whatever.
oh, so
Is
hidden.
the show still even on? That same one?
Or it's changed completely.
It's gone. It
Okay,
closed
that's
and became 35.
Oh, anyway, so he's talking about the fountain.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it was a
it's not
drivable
35.
prop that there was somebody driving, and it was like the princess's like little wave
They're
Valentine's.
They're G-Wagon.
Yeah.
That was your water there for the Milan.
Look at me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
And then you
my.
got like
I just
Tinky
love
Bug.
the best is people hiding stuff right there because I can
Exactly.
sit on it.
Oh my gosh, you don't.
I do. That's what I bring. That's what I bring to the
Your networking.
to my networking meetings because I'm the timekeeper. So I had to be obnoxious. If they had a little bell or whatever, and I was like, no,
Gong.
we're gonna go with the gong.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's pretty obnoxious.
Okay,
Anyway, so Fountain, after you guys left, as the years went on, it just kept breaking and getting worse and getting fixed and getting worse. But so what happened is each one of the levers was on a pulley system to the motor in order to put it in drive, neutral, and reverse. But as it kept breaking, the piece that they made kept shrinking on one side only.
No.
So, to go forward was both forward and to go backward was both backward.
right?
So basically you had to push all one forward and one like an inch in order to like focus it to get it around and then backward. So basically what happened is like spares would go in and its nerves would get the best of them and it would literally spin on the spot. Let's do that. It was hysterical. Especially the backup as it came around and had to back up into the set. There was a plenty of A, B, C plans that like it was just like nope. So then as I was line captain and trying to teach everybody how to do it and I had rehearsals for it all the time, Bonard gets thrown into it in the show. And I was like, all right, I guess I got to put my money where my mouth is. First shot in, done. I was like, why can't you guys do this anymore?
Yeah.
Apparently don't know what kind of fuel to do with it, but okay.
Did it ever hit the set or the deck?
Not with me, but yes.
Yes.
On the entrance, yeah.
Oh yeah, the numerous
An
times.
old set too, because that was a high school set.
That was a high school set, yeah.
Uh-huh. They put some Mickey ears and some sparkles and called it D30.
Oh, goodness.
The magic.
The
The magic.
We're revealing all the magic.
I don't even know that many people that still tour. Like, and sometimes the show, comes to our town. And I was like, do I know anyone?
Oh, we just saw some real shows.
Actually,
we just go. Even we don't know people, we just go.
We just showed up.
Yeah. Hi.
Did you even ask for tickets or you just showed up and walked in the loading dock with your...
Well, so far since we've been done, we've seen our old show twice. They came to Montreal and Toronto in October and then again in January. So it was our old show. So it was half of our old good friends and all that kind of stuff. We had just finished with that show. And then we were supposed to see...
We saw G36 in Detroit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. For Valentine's Day weekend, we went to Detroit and saw the new show, D36, which makes our show, like, it's just such a different level. You can tell
Like the screens, everything is
how
moving.
fresh it looks. It's like...
Yeah.
You mean they don't have the old Rex?
What?
They don't have the old Rex? Is that what you're saying?
No, they have the Muter story.
But I've got some of the... Oh, no.
Very small piece that you had, I want to say.
Just the tip.
It's
One day I'll surprise you.
oh goodness.
But anyway, and we were supposed to see D29 Rules of Enchantment. It was supposed to be in Hamilton, like the week after everything closed down. We were supposed to see the phenomenal Sue Brody. She was still a PD and was going to come. We were going to hang out with her. What's with the face, Freddie?
No, I'm just looking up comments to see if anybody's commenting.
I know that. I really know that Joan has a really good Sue Brody story.
Which one was it? There's a lot of stories.
Okay, let's see. All the people. Jessica Jeffers says, congrats. Adam Loosely, I spot PR shirts.
That's right.
Andy goes, we are in Thailand. Wear your PR shirts. Maybe you can write it off.
Yes.
We have them. They've been given the old ones away, I remember at some point.
Yeah, that's how I ended up with this one. They were just giving them away because they were going to get new ones.
I was really pissed that when I was a host on high school, they wouldn't let me keep the shoes at the end.
They did let
They were nice Nike Shocks.
They did.
She's got that Taylor
I've
wig.
got a Taylor wig with me.
Oh, I was like thinking like, what shall I put today? But
With the button on top.
Yeah.
You can snap.
For the headband.
oh, but I don't know where is it.
That one.
I remember from High School Musical. Well, in High School Musical, I portrayed Ryan, and
Listen to him. He sounds so PR. I portrayed the role of Ryan. You look
Hey,
just,
I just got off the road. Okay, it's still in my blood. I have 2 of his hats and his Bop to the Top bracelet.
Oh, look at that.
Did you see how I did that to show it off and stuff?
Fancy.
Just to make sure you remember
You sure do.
choreography.
How about that? Oh,
Why are they so big?
what? Because you're just in front of the camera.
Yeah, I know.
You're not chill.
Okay, so wait a second. How would you guys react if I started going dun 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 dun?
So I was. How do you think you would do brooms? How do you think we should do brooms now with social distancing?
I was number.
There's just 4 brooms that go out on the opposite sides.
Well,
Bonard, do you guys remember that one show where we did brooms and the paint was coming through the ice and people were just falling, bam, 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 and you're sliding. And you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna catch.
Trust me, it never stops once you guys that.
Yeah, it was like many more.
We just always knew when when something was going wrong with the wheel, because Brent would sound so mad when he would be counting. But Brent's mad. Something's wrong with the wheel.
Okay, so many years after you guys left.
My favorite was I would go and watch the board. Like, is there spares in for my like?
For her pure entertainment, but it depends on it depends on the spare, and I won't mention the name because we're on Facebook Live. Do you guys remember the Else place at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one time a lovely little Argentinian boy was in sparing, and at the time the L chased Mickey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be at one end of the line and realized as he set it up, he was supposed to be at the end of the other one. So as the L splice going across, he's sprinting across the whole thing, right? It was beautiful. I love our stories.
Oh my god.
It was great.
When we did break work on, what was it, D23? So we were over in Valencia. And so Sue Brody was PD, and Corey.
This is what I thought I was going to get into. Joan's Mulan was the story with Sue, wasn't it?
Oh, well, no.
Which one was it? The makeup one? Because there's
the makeup or have you seen Bonard?
No, have you seen Johan?
Oh no, it's Johan. That's what it was. Have you seen Johan? And you're like, he's on the ice right now.
He's doing his normal role.
the Duke's talking right now. But so we get to Spain, and we get to the building to try to we gotta watch videos and stuff. And they're like, don't worry about that. You can watch that later. Come on the ice. We're gonna have you guys learn. You can learn finale. I was like, oh, okay. So John and I are out there, and the 2 people they have teach us finale is Lumi and Mito. And I was like, Lumi's like, I'm not really in this. I don't know what I'm doing.
I have no idea.
Yeah, and Midori is Jasmine, right? So, or she was Jasmine when we got there.
Yeah.
So she didn't really know finale either. And I said to Joan at the time, I was like, nobody even knows the roles they're supposed to teach us. And I was like, and I think that guy doesn't even speak English. I don't even know what's happening. And so I remember when I was ensemble, and I don't remember who my partner was, but when there was a diagonal line and then the weaving through the whole thing of PMPs at the end, I want to say. And
PMPs are Prince and Princess.
And I got lost. And my partner just let go of me. And then I'm walking through just by myself. I wasn't a prince, right? No.
At the time, probably.
No, we were doing minuet splices. Then I'm lost in the
The courtiers.
the court. That's what I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember too. Also, we were over there, and Corey Obst, who's like 6'3", so he's taller than me. He would always get what was Big Russian Yevgeny. He'd get Yevgeny's costume.
Oh yeah.
And so then, if that was the case, that means I got Yuka's costume, and it was too short. And I'm like knuckling the whole time. I'm like, oh, this is like her drill. This is so painful.
That's right.
Hey, Brent.
Fun stories.
Brent, be truthful. You've been off the road, what, 10 years?
Yep.
How often do you still put on a dance belt and feel like a man?
I asked Andy if we were gonna make quarantine masks with them, just over the head, and then your eyes can peek out.
Oh my god.
Is it in Costco next time?
Go to Costco like that?
Like that, yeah.
I think I burned all mine in Chile. I made wine out of it.
Oh, we took ours because when was it?
Well, yeah, for Robin's 40th, we went to Florida, and
Surprise.
we rented an Airbnb. We were staying there with Andy and Robin, and Robin had no idea that we were coming. So we pulled
I
up.
remember part of the story, I think.
Yeah, and we laid out like a trail of dance belts throughout the house and hung them on the ceiling fan and had them just spinning. And she walks into this like unused Airbnb and she opens the door. She's like, "What?"
Yummy.
Yeah, I might have had.
I hope whoever you rented the Airbnb from is watching this now and has extremely had it like fumigated.
Yeah.
They were clean. They were clean.
Oh.
Don't judge. Don't judge. Let's see if we have more comments.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I'm trying to think of which Sue Brody story are you remembering? Because I haven't.
Well, it must be the makeup one because she's chased you around with makeup brush, hasn't she? Or for eyeliner?
Do the Jasmine eyes.
That must be the one I'm thinking of.
No, I had I don't know, I just put like on the normal like Jasmine whatever. I was playing Jasmine at the time, and I just put on.
You
like
were portraying the role of Jasmine.
Sorry, I'm in a PR shirt. I should. I was.
Yeah, exactly. This could be used in the future, okay?
I was, 10 years behind on my practice.
Don't judge.
But I just put like normal show Jasmine makeup on.
Oh.
And during the warm up, when Mark and I were warming up, because Mark was Aladdin, and she came out with the makeup brush, came out, and she's like, "No, we need to do your makeup." And so then we did the makeup, and there was so much purple, just purple eyeshadow, all
just purple
with the what is it, the eyeliner that went out to here, and then like the eyelashes that went like this.
They were sharp in the face.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe how high my eyebrows got because I had so much purple makeup on. And I was like, I really have to put this much on? And she's like, yeah. I mean, you have to put it on. So she like it was just purple. And I had the hardest time taking off the purple eyeshadow. But she did come at me with a brush for my
Okay. You told this story. It made me think of a story. Yes. And I hope at some point that the lovely Tashi Kachiki watches this video. So there was one time where I was on break work on D20. And my casted spot for that run was being Shang in finale with Tashi Kachiki.
Yeah.
Who is like the woman can outskate anyone. She's amazing. She's strong.
I know the story.
So anyway, okay, it's pretty well known that I've got thick eyebrows as it is.
Yeah.
But I was trying to get into the warrior heritage. I took black eyeliner and made like almost like, I would say like it clown eyebrows. Like it was like up at a peak and back down. And I even curled them under a little bit and everything. Like I looked like Alice Cooper skating. Literally. It was pretty bad. And I just remember the first time I did it really obnoxious. I was backstage with her, took her hand, she's like, "You look like an idiot." And opened up. And then she dragged me around the ice.
Did you guys ever play Andorra?
No. I've always wanted to, and I've always wanted to get there. When we were in Zaragoza and Barcelona this year,
What was the reason why they didn't go?
I was contemplating getting a car and driving up, but it was, I don't know, it just seemed a little bit out of the way for the limited amount of time we had.
So it was really weird. So they had us in a parking lot is where they were setting us up in a tent, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
And
Legit surface.
and I can't even remember what's a normal size sheet of ice with headers. 10?
What's the smallest you could do?
Oh, the smallest we can do is what we did in Dublin, Ireland this year. It was 5 wide and only 3 long. Like we almost had to walk backwards.
Yeah, we were pretty close to that. Maybe a little bit bigger. And
But
we're
like
at
a one header is usually 8 feet. So if that's
we
3
might have
on
been
top
at
of
five. We might have been at 5
24
headers.
feet long.
Yeah, we might have been at 5 headers, something like that. And we're out in the parking lot, walking it through, right? Sue's got her big fur coat on, signaling, counting us down. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Because we're doing drill. It's like the
Yeah. Trying to and cutting people out, right? That aren't gonna fit. And one of the first shows they put me in, I was Snow Prince, and they put an understudy Snow White in, which I was like, why don't you just put the same people together? But anyways, so they put me in, and I had, because Kristen Trenny was always Snow White when we did break work there, and we just had our own thing, right? Like she would sit on my shoulder and laugh so hard.
She's totally insane. Yeah, of course.
So we had our thing, and so like you remember the choreography? Like I'm pulling backwards, doing back crossovers, and she's supposed to let me know if like, hey, you're getting close to the headers because I can't look backwards. Well, the understudy came in and did not tell me, and I went full speed into the downstage header. You know the high headers too. Bam, laid there. My cape is just, and both of us are just down, just laying there. And that was the same city when you had your fly thing on the flank.
Oh
on the
yeah,
carpet.
so the carpet goes like in a J shape, like it's
Yeah.
upstage and then goes downstage. But it's supposed to land right before the header, so we can get off
Yes.
and get on the ice. Well, this one just went around and then it landed, boom, right on the header. And I don't know how tall, like, because it was lifted. We were up high.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. The ice was off, was built up from the parking lot too, about like 6 feet.
Something. So we're like, we didn't rehearse this, so which way are we going? So I had to hop off one way. Mark was like,
What am I doing?
Mark was like, which way do I go? C'est quoi ça, là?
Oh, you're so helpful though.
That was also the same thing where when we were doing load-in, you know, the scroll for Ariel. Someone, whoever held it, dropped it and hit Brody right on the head.
Oh, these are amazing stories.
Great stories.
Oh, the roadster.
Anyways.
Hey, I will say that I have kept in touch with Sue. Was my first PD back in 2001.
Wow. So
And
what was your
of
first show?
My first show, Brent, if you don't know this story, you're gonna love this. My first year was 1 year of D15 when it was just called World on Ice.
Yep.
And my first contracted spot was Anastasia, the ugly stepsister of Cinderella.
Of course you. Oh, you know what? Oh God, I would have loved that.
It was an amazing number. From what I was told with the backstory, it was always done by 2 girls, and it was meant to be like almost like a clown kind of comedy act number, but the girls were always getting injured. So
Yes.
1 year as an in-show, 2 guys did it for fun, and Kenny saw it, and he goes, "I love it." So it basically became like that week they switched from casting it as girls to casting it as guys.
Did you have to wear makeup or not?
It just added to the laughter of it because we had like this god awful makeup and like fluorescent pink costumes with my hairy legs showing. Like it was obnoxious but extremely fun. It got me through every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were always those numbers every now and then. They were just fun to get through. Like Under the Sea was really a fun one, just because it's just like such a cluster F, you know, and like you could hear the lobster, whatever the hell he was, the crab. But I kept telling Kristen Trenny he looks like a tick. So we're like, there's the tick tumble, and you hear they have the sound effect, and it falls over. And then we're just crying, laughing the entire time. But high school kind of ruined us, right? Because
Oh yeah.
because
Well,
you could screw around so much.
Well, that was our first show too, so.
Not you so much. Not so much as like Ryan. You probably couldn't have screwed around as much.
Oh, baby, I feel bad. I'm telling all the stories and you're not really talking.
Well, I can add the story. In Europe, we got spoiled with a very small ice, and then we're going back on the 12 headers, and there is a huge market number, like Aladdin market number.
The one jump ahead of the red line, whatever. 27.
And I step on ice, and everyone like, Tati, why don't you do choreography? I'm like, oh, it's a lava game. It's after 3 headers, it's lava. So I just.
She had people in stitches. She was like, they're like, why are you doing the choreography?
It's a lava
It's
game.
lava. I can't.
So I didn't pass the thing.
That's awesome. Pretty sure you'd probably be the only one that can get away with that.
Do you
Well,
remember?
okay. To add on top of her story, during that market scene, she was one of the market ladies. Do you know what I was casted as market?
Another lady.
Do you remember
A lady?
the part of the song where Aladdin goes da da da, and the old lady comes out and goes, still I think he's rather tasty.
Oh,
Oh, it's perfect for you.
man, that is perfect.
That was me.
That was casted perfectly.
I was actually casted as another part of it, and Judy emailed me back like the next day and goes, wait, I'm going to switch you to this. I was like, oh, sweet, she knows me. Good.
Amazing. Do you remember when Dom made the fake pocket inside his vest as Shang and pulled out the disposable camera and took a picture of Joan in the middle of finale, or in the middle of That's How You Know?
That's how you know. Yeah.
Yes.
Not finale, That's How You Know. Behind the fountain, he skeets around just
Takes it out and snaps it. I was like, you son of a... How did you get that in here?
Didn't
Well, you guys got in a Toy Story, the camera. Remember?
inside?
No, somebody came out with something. Once.
I remember once, wasn't it your show? I saw the video. Tommy Doe came out in like opening
yeah.
and like recorded the entire thing.
Yeah, it was
I heard the Corey and him waiting for him backstage.
yeah, High School Musical 3, where he comes out and he's like, yeah, but he could get away with that. Like Tommy they didn't really care if he did that.
Because that was like his character.
Yeah, he was just that. One time when planking came out, he went face first and just planked down on the headers during the whole thing. And just laid there.
Well,
It's
okay.
funny because it's like high school kids.
Who
right?
was
So
it?
they're all doing
Who
stuff
was it
like
that stepped off the ice, got their heel caught in somebody's purse?
Jordan,
Was it
that
Jordan?
was with me. During that whole scene with Sharpay, he would always scope out an empty seat in the front row, and he would always jump over. And while she was like, "You got the music in me," or whatever the song was, I forget, whatever, he would be sitting between people and just kind of going like, "I don't get it," and he would jump back on the ice. And the one time, he caught the heel of his boot on a woman's purse, and it flicked into the air and onto the ice. The Sharpettes had to stop choreography and start they had to pick up her credit card that had slid under the headers.
Oh!
Like it was just like cell phone, wallet, tampon. I don't know. It was just like everything everywhere. It was weird.
That is awful, but amazing.
Okay, my good story of High School Musical. You said that like in our roles we couldn't goof around that much or whatever, but do you remember the after Fabulous in the second act where Ryan and Sharpay went onto the deck and we were like sunbathing and
Yeah.
doing our thing or whatever? Middle of the show, I don't even know what day of the week it was, didn't matter. I just took my cell phone with me. And Melody Clydesdale, if you're watching this, thank you for letting me get away with some things. It was totally in character because there was props that were phones. I took over my cell phone. I phoned the TC who was in the office at the time. And I was like, hey, I think I've injured myself. Can you come get me, please? Oh, are you sure? Yeah, please come get me. And I had her on the phone with me, and I could hear the crew underneath me on the radios, and she was going, has anybody seen Bonard? Has anybody seen Bonard? Nobody else knew the conversation. She's just going, has anybody seen Bonard? Is he okay? Is he hurt? And they're behind me going, are you okay? And they're going, you should go to front of house. And I saw her at the soundboard, and I'm like,
That's awesome.
Did you get fined?
nope.
Oh.
Melody, what a gem of a PD she was. She was like, that was pretty funny.
Don't do it again.
Yeah.
Don't do that again.
our first year with high school, it was, I think, the last show in Brazil. And what was the next to last number before we're all in this together?
Every day.
Every day. So
Every day.
Look at them, remember number by number.
Oh yeah.
we're all standing upstage, and Amanda Billings walks out, and she's always holding the little prop microphone.
Sorry for telling the story.
Yeah, sorry. But she's holding an ear of corn. It was a prop ear of corn. Because Nick gave it to her. He's like, here, sing into this. She's like, okay. And she's holding an ear of corn, singing the entire thing. And she got done. She's like, I was just so scared that I was going to get in trouble.
That's awesome, actually. I didn't do that.
It was good.
So do you have any, outside of the show, outside of like shows, do you have any I guess appropriate like
Keyword.
stories? Like what's your biggest memory off of tour? Biggest, funniest, scariest, whatever. I know that's a big like net, but
And if it's not PG, stay on, and after we go off there.
Well, no, we can usually tell our stories that can make it PG-13.
Well, on the last tour in Europe, so for some kind of like circumstance, every time when Judy was coming, I was out.
Oh my gosh, you're telling, okay.
So like it was like 2 years in a row, like Judy coming, I'm out. Judy coming.
She was so sick, she tried to come in and ski, was almost tripping over herself, and Judy was there for contract talks. I was like, Judy, I don't think we're going to skate for you again this year. She's like, I see the reports, I've seen you guys skate before, like, don't worry about it, feel good. So she had to go out sick and all these things. So our final year.
Final year, Judy comes in Belfast just to visit us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Bonard, like, if something gonna go this time, like, I don't know, I might curse something. So I'm like, I'm very careful. I'm like, I am.
It was European schedule. We had a Friday opening.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so like on days off, I'm like, okay, I'm not going nuts. I'm taking care of myself. Friday comes in, I'm like, I did the show. I'm like, Bonard, can you imagine? I skated the show.
We did the show. Everything went great. Good.
So we coming home, and it was like, oh, what do you want to eat? Do you want to go in the lobby for burgers or like protein shake? And we're like, it's almost like 10:30 p.m. And Bonard's like, oh, let's do a protein shake. And I had a blender, so like I put my blender together, and I didn't.
It was a handheld. It wasn't like a typical like stand-in.
So it was a small blender. I plugged it in, and I didn't use it like in a month. And before to put it in a shake, I wanted like to test it. Like, is the blade still okay? Bonard talking to me to these on something on. I'm like, and I pressed the button, but for some reason, like that arm was under the blender. So I pressed the button, and I only saw like blood everywhere. I'm like, what?
She turned on the blender with her finger in the blades.
Oh my god.
Okay, so keep in mind, this is 10:30 on a Friday night in Belfast, Ireland. So
I quickly
she
like,
just put,
I'm like looking at finger. I'm like, tell like it's a hospital. Like we need to go to the hospital. So we jump in a lobby. Hospital was only 3 minutes away. We showing up in a hospital. Belfast already by the time approaching 11. They're like, oh, she's like, is it bad? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bad. She's like, okay, you need to sit down at least for an hour just to stop the bleeding. So they squeezed it. Finally, I come in, the nurse take a look, like, what did you do? I'm like, oh, I'm just a blender. She's like, okay, we can put you 2 stitches more behind by Monday. I'm like, no, I'm a princess.
that was her response. You can go back to work. She's like, no, I'm a princess.
She looks at me like, oh, have a case. I'm like, have you been drinking?
You're like, no, really, I am.
Yeah. But really, I actually am.
The only thing that came out of me, I'm a princess, I can't.
And I was just like, that's what you're saying right now? Okay, sure.
So, and by midnight, the craziness began in the hospital.
So we had to be
Friday
in the
night.
waiting room, and I guess there was only 1 or 2 like actual doctors sitting there, and one had to be rushed to surgery and whatever. But it was Friday night in a hospital in Ireland. Interesting.
I'm in the brawls.
So she cut her finger at 10:30. We got there about 11:15. I think we sat in the waiting room until
Till
about
4.
4
Ooh.
and just watched all these things come. At one point,
The clubs are closing, so all these people getting dragged by police.
yeah, like I was like,
Half
there
naked.
was like I would say probably like a shirtless, high 15-year-old cuffed by the police. Like just like, I like, couldn't even understand him. I don't know what
So
was going
I
on.
already forgot about my finger. Like I don't
Because
feel the pain.
We were
'cause-
watching a movie basically in front of us, just watching everybody come in on a Friday night.
Wow.
Yeah,
So anyway, she basically, sum it up, she had put the blade just perfectly that it came into, if I can get it, into her finger here, and it kind of grazed through, and basically her fingerprint was hanging off.
and I took the bone off. And
So what happened is they were like, well, okay, we're going to see if an x-ray to see if you've done any damage, whatever. And they were like, no, we don't have to do that. They're like, it's just
procedure.
it's just normal. Okay. They're like, so you chipped the bone.
Oh, dang.
It went deep. Basically, the ting of the blade was what stopped it from slicing off her fingerprint.
Oh
Fingerprint,
my gosh.
Okay.
We won't put it online, but if you want to stick around later, I have like an old picture of it. It's
Oh, you do?
I'm good.
I kind of want to see
Oh
it.
yeah, they let him in. He was like, "Can I take
I
pictures?"
was watching it. I've always wanted to get into medicine,
And they tried to put anesthetic, but because it's an open cut, so they
and it was at such like
stopped
the
it.
end of the.
All the
limb.
anesthetic is coming out. So she's like, "You just have to like look aside." And,
She
like,
tried to prick it twice, and the anesthetic didn't take.
yeah, so she like stitched me.
So she stitched it, kind of raw
Oh.
nerves.
Wow.
So long story short, like next day I'm like, "Judy, I'm out."
Oh, gosh.
Reason?
Again.
Blender.
Again.
Okay, the worst part is, so we got into at 4:00. She got in for the X-ray at 5. We didn't leave the hospital till 8:30.
I don't remember, but it was quite.
And this was getting up for a
6, like-
Saturday 3-show day.
Oh.
Like I was supposed to be there. We were supposed to be there at like 11 or something for like a noon show.
Yeah.
I actually had to call in sick. We had been up all night. I was cross-eyed. I was like, I can't, like, even if I'm not doing pairs or anything, I should be able to come in and do something. I was like, I'm going to
Hurt
be
someone.
next.
Yeah.
I'm going to hurt myself or hurt someone. Like, I had to call in sick. And then, so eventually throughout the day, people were phoning us saying, "Are you guys okay?" or whatever. And we told them the story. They were like, okay. They came over that night.
We tried to clean the room because it was like the blender went, so it was all
A blender blade goes
All over.
It looked like a scene from American Psycho when I came home at 8 in the morning. It went down across the bottom of the floor, across the floor, up the couch, across the television, and back around.
Oh my gosh.
Just
So
like
I tried to clean up. I tried to clean up most of it, and then we obviously slept most of the day because we hadn't slept. And then our friends came over to check on us that night, and they sat down and they were like, "Is that blood behind the television?" Like we had just missed some because we were
Wow.
one and two. It got everywhere. I couldn't believe
So
it.
when was this? When like
November?
This was.
It's not even a year ago, November.
Oh, no,
wow.
Yeah.
just a year ago in November.
Like last tour.
wow.
Our last European tour.
Do you have like feeling in your finger now still? Oh, you don't have any? Like you just can't.
She has a little bit of like pins and needles.
Wow.
She
Well,
missed the entire.
Maybe over time you'll start feeling it because it's just that's.
They
very
said
recent.
maybe.
Well, the little nerves, because it's one nerve and then it like spread to 5, like 2 or 3 of them, it's not gonna recover, but it's fine. It's attached, so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she missed Sunday. She missed Sunday also because it was considered a chip. It was considered an open fracture for infection. She had to go see a plastic surgeon in Ireland on Sunday morning to see if it needed to be any surgeries redone for anything.
Wow.
I mean, they just briefly looked at it and looked at the X-ray and everything, and they just said the chip, it was so small it'll just dissolve. So I guess we were lucky there. But
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez.
I'm gonna tell the other side of the story.
Well,
Uh-oh.
So what makes this story good? So she has 2 stitches down her finger, so she can't do pairs. She has a bandage on like this, so she can't tie skates. So she's out for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Dang.
So in 2 weeks, her best friend from home, we were playing Dublin, Ireland. Her best friend from home had already booked the tickets to come visit, booked the hotel, planned the entire thing. She couldn't even skate for them.
Oh no!
Yeah, and this year she sent me the box. I'm like, happy anniversary. I'm like, what kind of anniversary? And she's like, open. She sends me a new blender that's like just with a button.
That's a good friend.
I got that in the mail today. She asked me on Facebook, what's your new address? I was like, it's this. She goes, okay, good. I'm like, it's okay? She goes, yeah, you'll see. She got that happy anniversary, and I was like, wow.
Well, another good story right now, I'm like digging from the story. Okay, this was like recent, and being in all these places, and when we did start doing the South Africa, that's like you're on a different planet. Like, it's so beautiful. The schedule is heavy, but the country, the beauty is so lovely. And we went there for the wine tour, and it was like our fifth station to stop.
It was our final stop of the day on like a South African wine tour. It was beautiful, the mountains.
And I remember I'm running, and I'm like, I can't understand if it's like wine or something. I'm like, there's a zebra in front of me.
There's
a zebra in front of her.
Zebra. I'm like, okay, I need to stop.
So on our final stop of the day.
No, it was actually a zebra there.
Oh no, there was 2 or 3 of them. They were wild.
Wow.
The behind the fence.
Yeah. The vineyard sat at the side of basically a small reserve.
Wow, that's really...
Occasionally animals would come up, but as we came up, there was 3 zebras just eating right along the fence.
I don't know if it was their like farms or.
I thought it was a small reserve anyway, but it was beautiful. The scenery was beautiful.
I didn't do wine tasting at that spot. I'm like,
yeah, she started chasing the zebras, so I was like, honey, you're cut off.
So how many countries have you guys gone to then?
Between 2 of us, we counted 65 or 66.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because there's a bunch that I've been to that she hasn't, and then prior to competition, she went to a few within Europe that I hadn't been to. So total, I think we're at like 65 or so.
Dang.
Wow.
We got some catching up to do.
I know.
And that's only a third of the world. Like the world's like 196. So.
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, but most of me don't want to go to.
Actually, most of it I do. I want to.
Where? So, do you guys plan whenever all is done and people can travel again? Do you guys have any place that you're gonna want to visit anytime soon?
Aren't we all going to Thailand together?
Yeah, that's like next year, right? That's like after you pop out the baby.
Well, yeah, but I don't think they're gonna be traveling immediately.
I'm not sure if I can like
Well,
in a month I can get on a plane.
We already had to say no to 2 weddings this summer because of pregnancy and traveling. So
yeah,
I would love to go. They're just not letting me on the plane.
Yeah.
Well, in case it's like, ladies and gentlemen,
it's a boy.
Well, when we end the live stream, stay on because I want to get your address too. We'll send you something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Huh?
No. Anyway.
I'll send you Rex's.
Thanks for calling us. This was fun.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for doing this with us.
Stay
I
on.
like hearing all your stories.
Yeah, don't leave yet. We're gonna hang up with you guys. But all right. So should we say bye to everyone?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. I know it was almost all former Disney on Ice people due to the comments. So thanks for watching, everyone, and congrats.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, congratulations! It's so exciting.
Hey.
It worked.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.